In this video, I'm going to rank every single relic in Tycoon Rng from worst to best. Relics are a brand new set of passive abilities added in the most recent Tycoon Rng update. They're gained by prestiging and resetting your upgrades. They provide a number of boosts, from boosting certain tag multipliers to increasing luck, but you can only use one at a time, and some are far better than others, so this video will attempt to determine the best relics in the game. Obviously, this is a subjective list, and pretty much every relic has at least some use in some builds, though there are definitely some that rise far above the rest. Pretty much, I could only see someone using the bottom 7 relics in very specific situations, or if they don't have any of the top 3. Apart from number 10, which is just completely awful. Also, keep in mind, this update is brand new, so if I make any mistakes regarding the abilities of this relics, I'll say so in the pinned comment. Anyway, without further ado, let's start ranking these relics. Number 10, the long-term investment. This relic is just completely useless. Its ability is to give you half of the ore's value if the ore is destroyed. Seems really good, right? Apart from when you realize there are little situations in which your ores get destroyed in this game that aren't preventable. For vulnerabilities, there's the Heavenly Ruins. For acid and fire, there's a multitude of upgrades that remove them before they destroy your ores. The only way your ores will be destroyed for certain is if you use certain machines that destroy a percentage of your ores no matter what. Furthermore, you get the cash when the ore is destroyed. So even if your ore gets destroyed on the final upgrader, you're still only getting a minuscule, insignificant fraction of the final value, as there is no collector. I'm guessing this relic was made for people with low efficiency, because in theory, if you have less than 50% efficiency, this should be a 1.5 times boost or more. But when you do the maths and realize the ores will be destroyed before they make it to the end of your Tycoon, thus not getting most of the upgrades or the collector, you realize how utterly useless and garbage this relic is. I would never pick this relic when prestiging, and I have no idea why it's the 4th rarest relic. There is almost no use I could ever see anyone using this in. Alright, next, number 9, the Armor of God. The Armor of God is only slightly more useful than the long-term investment. It gives an aura shield, which allows it to not get destroyed once. This would be pretty good, but there's literally an aura that does this anyway. Unless you want 2 shields for some reason, this is pretty much useless, as every other relic adds far more useful abilities. There's not much else to say about this one, apart from the fact that it's above the long-term investment, as it could have some semblance of a use. Alright, next we have the Acidulated. The Acidulated is alright. It gives a 1.5 times boost to acidic ores, which is much more than what the long-term investment gives. A 1.5 times bonus is pretty decent, and if you use an acid pool or caustic lab at the end of your build, this relic is okay. But it simply gets outclassed by almost every other relic on this list. Even in acidic builds, there are other relics which are just better. So this relic is only good if you use an acidic build, and it's the only relic you have. Yeah, not too great. Next we have Malodorus, I don't know how to say that. This is a lot better than Acidulated, simply due to the fact that it gives a 1.5 times putrid bonus instead of acid bonus. This is better as putrid is a far less restricted tag. It doesn't destroy ores, and it only has 1 or 2 negative effects with some upgraders. Therefore, it can be used in pretty much every build, unlike acidic, so it's much better. Even if you use an acidic build, I'd still recommend picking Malodorus over it, if you get both when you prestige. But still, I'd only pick it if I got the bottom 3 or 4 to choose from. This relic still gets majorly outclassed by everything else in the game. Number 6, the Powered Dropper. Alright, the Powered Dropper is the 2nd rarest relic in the game, which is just ridiculous in my opinion, because it's not that good. It gives a 50% boost to ore value. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but that seems like a 1.5 times boost to me, which is the same as Malodorus and Acidulated. So yeah, this is better than Malodorus slightly, as you don't need to give your ores the putrid tag to make it work. Aside from that, it's identical. Still a 1.5 times boost that gets heavily outclassed by other relics. I could be wrong about this, because it does seem weird for this to be the 2nd rarest relic in the game and be this average. So maybe there's some maths to do with the base ore value that I'm not entirely aware of. If I do mess this up, I'll update the pinned comment with my new ranking. Alright, number 5, the Neptune's Touch. The Neptune's Touch is decent. It gives a 2.3 times boost to all wet ores, which is nice, and it's the highest bonus thus far on the list. The wet tag isn't too restrictive of a tag and can be incorporated quite easily into builds, though the wet vulnerability is quite common and a fair few machines replace the tag with fire or ice. It isn't as easy to incorporate as Putrid, but the increased boost more than makes up for it. However, even when doing a wet build, this still isn't the best relic to use as it's outclassed by another relic in the top 3. Alright, now for number 4, the powered processing. This is the third rarest relic in the game, and like everything below the top 3, it is average at best. The relic gives a 2 times boost to all ore value, which sounds really good. I place this above the Neptune's Tyche as it has no tag restrictions, so this can be used in any build without requiring an extra machine, which probably makes up for the lack of an extra 0.3 times. A lot of people think this is the best relic for making the most money, which just isn't true. It's only 2 times. Just because it works with every tag doesn't make it any better. Don't be fooled by its high rarity. This relic should only be used if you don't have anything in the top 3. Alright, now for number 3, the Angel of Fire. This is the first relic in the top 3. Any relic here could be considered the best, and I could see why you'd want to use any of these 3 depending on your build. The Angel of Fire gives the highest value boost out of any relic, with 3.5 times. The downside to this is that it is locked behind flaming ores. Fire is one of the most restrictive tags in the game, and the ore needs to have fire at the end of the Tycoon as well. Fire pretty much doesn't work with the wet build and a number of other builds in the game. Nevertheless, this is still broken, and almost 4 times boost to your money is incredible, and is unmatched by any other relics. I'd understand why someone would say this is the best relic in the game. However, the restrictions make the spot above this simply more versatile and easy to use. Number 2. The Mercury's Flight. In my opinion, this is the best relic for most builds when optimizing for money. This build gives a 3 times boost to the value of ores with the air tag. The air tag is one of the least restrictive tags in the entire game. Pretty much, just chuck down a Forbidden Breeze or Wind Tunnel somewhere in your Tycoon and you're good to go. It's that easy. Yeah, the Angel of Fire is a slightly higher boost, and if you can incorporate fire, you should use that relic instead, but the Mercury's Flight can pretty much be implemented into any build quite easily. All in all, it is safe to say that the Mercury's Flight outclasses all of the other value boosting relics, with the probable exception of the Angel of Fire. Alright, now for number 1, to the surprise of no one, the Tyche's Blessing. A 75% luck boost is just way better than a little more money. If you combine this with the Galaxy Rapture and a maxed out luck upgrade, that's a bonus 275% luck. Add in VIP and it goes up to 305%. Absolutely broken. For builds that optimize for money, obviously you won't use this, similar to how you use the Golden Gaze over the Galaxy Rapture, despite the Galaxy Rapture probably being better. But for rolling, this is the best and only relic that boosts luck. This is also the rarest relic in the game, which, unlike a lot of other relics, actually speaks to its quality. Anyway, to summarize, if you're optimizing for money and use fire in your build, use the Angel of Fire. If you don't use fire, use Mercury's Flight, and if you're not optimizing for money, use Tyche's Blessing. And I don't know, if you think you've got some weird use for the other relics, go ahead and use them. Anyway, now I'm going to have a quick discussion about why the rare relics aren't even that good, with the exception of Tyche's Blessing, of course. So it's quite obvious to me that before the update, you were meant to be able to use more than one relic at a time. I think there might have been categories that you'd be able to pick one relic from each. I'm not too sure though. There also might have been a point system where each relic costed a few points to use at a time. Like maybe the Tyche's Blessing costs 3 points and the Mercury's Flight costs 1 point and you have like 3 points. I'm not too sure. I think it was quite difficult to balance this and it would have been way too overpowered. So they just gave us all the relics that were meant to be used in combinations with one another and only allowed us to use one at a time. This is why you shouldn't worry about rarity. You see, a relic that gave you a 1.5 times boost to base ore value would have been really good if you were able to use it alongside one that boosts tags like Mercury's Flight. But on its own, it just sucks. This is just my theory and maybe I'm completely wrong. Guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If this video helped you out in any way, please do me a favor and like and subscribe. It does help me out a lot and I'll see you all in the next video.